Welcome in, everybody. My name is James O'Hagan. I am the Vice President of Education Innovation. And with me today, I get to have the CEO of LeagueSpot here with us today, Andrew Barnett. Andrew, thank you for being a guest on our LeagueSpot Spot Talk today.
Hey, very welcome. I'm happy to be here. Especially happy to be here, obviously not just to talk a little bit about LeagueSpot, but to talk about one of my favorite hobbies, which is chess. And, personally, I started playing chess. I had played before, but I played a little bit during COVID, kind of during the chess boom that everyone's heard about with the Queen's Gambit that probably most of the viewers here watched. Got very into it, and I'm actually right at that skill level right now where all of the amateur, like the kind of casual players think I'm really good, and all of the good players think I'm really bad. And so that ranking, I'm ranked 1400 ELO on chess.com. And so, for those of you in chat, decide what you think about that. But yeah, and I got really into chess, and now I run the Chess Society at the Chicago University Club, which has been very good to do in person, and especially as COVID has ended, it's a great activity to play online. It's great to get together with people and friends, and one of the things that we've wanted to lean into at LeagueSpot is how do we make chess available for more people and easy to get into and easily to do as an activity with your friends. And so that's why we're here.
So, Andrew, as somebody who is so interested in chess, and I know that that is something that I know for a lot of people, chess is one of a fast-growing game. It's one that I think people think of as an old game, obviously, but it is fast-growing. You, as the CEO of LeagueSpot, took a big step in making sure that we could bring chess to LeagueSpot. So tell me, what makes your passion for chess? What drove you to bring it into LeagueSpot specifically? What were some of the shortcomings you were seeing, and what are some of the things that you see that LeagueSpot does really well with our chess.com integration?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I would say the way I look at chess at a 3,000-foot view, I think you look at LeagueSpot, you look at what's going on in the scholastic esports industry, and one of the groups of people that has not really been catered to is the parents that are involved. There's a lot of people working with educators and with schools. Obviously there's a lot of marketing that's been done to the end users and the kids involved. But at no point in time were parents brought into the equation. And one of the things that we've dealt with, I mean, I've sat in boardrooms where, early on in the scholastic esports space where there were people who had kids that went to schools, they would sit around these school boards and say, listen, we're scared of esports. We're especially scared of shooting games and FPS games and anything with violence. And we just don't really know what this is. So we don't know if we're going to move forward with it. We're not going to invest in it. And that was always tough for me because starting LeagueSpot, like I saw all the benefits of this, right? I have been in the space. I was a long-time player, both as a child, growing up. I still play very actively in whether it's chess, whether it's video games, whatever it is. And what sort of clicked for me was I understood that chess, especially as an esport where it fit in next to games like Rocket League and League of Legends and these things that we as the esports scholastic people think are good for kids, but parents aren't necessarily convinced, and that cultural change hasn't happened. I looked at chess and I was like, even when I grew up, my mother, who I love so greatly, even she would say, "Oh, you're riding your games, but you're riding your brain playing video games." And what I realized is that was never going to happen. There was no parent in the world who was going to look and say, "Ah, man, my kid's studying chess. That can't be good for them." Right? It was never going to happen. It's an age-old thing, and yet it exists in the modern esports space. And so I looked at that and I said, well, if we could use chess, not only as great as it is, but almost as a Trojan horse to get parents to understand from a cultural change perspective that this esports in the scholastic world program is good for their kids, and then they could expand beyond chess to things like League of Legends and Rocket League and Overwatch and the big team games. That we know kids are getting the same experience that you could get in sports. From a learning perspective, that would be good. And so that was the background of it. And from there, what we wanted to do, and we work specifically at LeagueSpot, we work with a very non-endemic space that is less tied into the esports world in the platforms than maybe, if you were working with big esports teams or the super fans or things like that. And so because of that, when it comes to product and user experience and things like that, we have to focus really, really hard on making it easy and making it just work, right? And we've spent the last few years doing that. And part of what we wanted to do was to work with chess.com, get API access from their side, where we would be able to go and have people just register, link their chess.com account, press one button, get into game, and automatically report their scores on the other side without having to think about it. And that's what we've built.
Well, let's then get into our first question here is how can you set up a chess.com tournament on LeagueSpot, and what are the initial steps that are involved?
That is awesome. So do me a favor. I've got the screen share ready if you want to send it over. And I'll actually show you what it looks like live. So right here, what I'm doing is I am creating a season within LeagueSpot. So we are at our LeagueSpot homepage. We're calling it demochess.leaguespot.gg. I am a league operator, and I want to run seasons of chess and maybe daily tournaments and whatever it is that I want to do. All of this happens on my homepage. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm creating a season within my LeagueSpot homepage that's going to represent one of my chess events, right? So I'm going to hit create season. And right here, and I've gotten a little silly here, I'm calling this the LeagueSpot SZN, aka season. And for those of you that don't know LeagueSpot, the way that we've done what we call seasons is a season will typically think of it as everything encompassing in one total event of play, right? And so that could be a regular season plus a playoff in most things. And what we do is we create what's called stages, and we basically link them one after another. And so everything you're doing within chess is going to happen within this entire season. So we've called this the LeagueSpot season.
Yeah, in Wisconsin, I think we put our preseason first, so we can have it as using the auto matcher feature, so that people who check in, teams that check in, can just get paired up, so they can just play, in some preseason matches, and then we do our regular season and our postseason as well too, all in the same space. So it all is contiguous.
And you can see, by the way, right here that you're seeing the admin view. As a player, you wouldn't see this because right now I am setting up the seasons, the stages, everything. But one of the things that you'll notice, which I really like, is our UI and UX folks have built this really beautiful wizard right here. And so what it's going to do is it's going to actually walk you through all the things that you have to do to build a season, which is really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding a stage. And we're going to call this we're just going to call it a playoff because we're only going to do one of these for the sake of time. And I won't get super far into all the settings here because, again, if you're a pretty intense tournament administrator, you would know a lot of these things. What you have to know is that we're going to name our stage. We're going to do a single elimination. We get lots of settings that pop up, like whether or not we want to hold a third place match. It's very powerful for, obviously, a new user. It's really irrelevant for what we're trying to do here. We are going to manually schedule all the matches. Competitors will only play one game per match. Then at the bottom, we're going to use simplified check-in, which is one of our new features right here that allows you to, instead of having to check specific players in, everyone just says they're ready and they go and it auto-generates those matches. So really nice. And you can see as I've hit start here, it has actually now created my playoff stage. I can view the settings that I selected and basically see that everything is right.
And you can edit those settings too after you have made them, right? So once you create a stage, you can go in and tweak it if you need to.
Exactly. I can hit edit playoff right here and it'll take me through that. So now you'll notice, okay, we've added our stage. Now what, right? Well, you get this nice yellow bar that says your season isn't ready to start just left. We need teams. Of course, we need teams to play in a season. So let's go do that. We're going to hit add some teams. And what you'll notice, and I set this up as if it were a bunch of companies that we're playing. So you can see under the company LeagueSpot, we've got 4 players, right? We've got myself, we've got Matt Lenz, we've got James, and then we've got Matt Bennett. And we've got the 4 of us. And I could go through and say, hey, these are all of the 4 teams that are available to play in a season, aka they're not in another season, things like that. And I can just add them. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit save. Now it says, hey, you're satisfied with the number of teams. Let's lock them in. What locking them in does is it prevents anyone from being able to join afterwards. So let's say I wanted an 8-team season. We allow people to join from the public. Once it hits that 8, I want to go in and lock that as opposed to letting more and more people join. And so now we can do all of the seeding, things like that. Finally, we're going to start our playoff. And right here, because I am better than Matt Bennett at chess, everyone who knows will agree.
No, you're not.
We're going to put
That's
me
not
at
what
the
he
top.
says.
Well, he doesn't know what he's saying. We're going to put myself at the top. We're going to put James at the bottom, not because he's bad, but only because we want to play each other in the first round. We're going to hit start stage. And now we have a bracket. It's really nice. It just works. Everything happens just as it is. I'm going to click into this first match with James. And then, James, on your side, if you want, you could then come and join this on your browser. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to check us both in. And I'm using this simplified check-in feature because there's only one person on each team. So we're going to check in here. And as you notice, and this is my favorite thing that our dev team has done here, we actually have access to a chess.com link here that's going to get us in the game. So I'm going to click this. And James, if you want to click it as well on your side.
Yep. Now,
and you can see we're in a game.
And I'm here to crush you. I'm absolutely here to crush you. But again, for the sake of making sure that we do this right, walk me through how we're going to get to a very quick end here.
Perfect. So I'm going to play E4 here, and then you're going to play E5. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And like anyone who wants to win a game really quickly, I'm going to play Queen to H5 right here. And so my next suggested move, if you were trying to lose, which you are, is you're going to play Bishop to C5. So your dark squared bishop, play it to C5 here.
There we go.
Perfect. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play my bishop out to C4 here, and we're going to be attacking this critical F7 square right here. So I'm going to do this, and a early player that doesn't realize they're being attacked right here might try to attack my queen with their knight. So if you played Queen F6, or sorry, Knight F6 right here. Yep. And then right here, the critical attack, I can come in for checkmate, and it is game over.
Okay.
And so that's the game, and that is called the Scholar's Mate for anyone who's new to chess and is interested. And I'm going to go back here. And now one of the things we get to do, and it was funny, this has been a discussion in the space of similar competition platforms, is basically, should we automatically pull the score back, or should we let the user confirm which game was the game that they played? And you could go both ways with this, honestly. My opinion, and in the opinion that we've chosen with LeagueSpot, sort of on our vision for being the most secure platform here, is that we want to make sure that the right game that comes back is the game that you just played. We don't want to guess. We don't want to pull something back that wasn't the right one. And we don't want to lead to these large TOs that are running literally 2,000 person tournaments like our client Nace Star League, along with the CCL, Collegiate Chess League. We don't want it to be faked, right? We don't want to have someone go back and change something because it didn't work. And so what we can do here is I'm going to go to submit scores on this game, and we have an option. We are allowed to, if we want, set a score manually. But what is way cooler is we can go and actually grab the chess.com accounts from all the players in. So I'm going to pick myself, and it's going to go through all of my last games, right? And as you can see, James and I just played this game. It's the one that's the top of the list. I'm going to click it. And as you can see, it's going to pull all of the information, including the final position and the PGN right here at the bottom, so that I can sit here and confirm, yeah, that was the game that I just played. This was the final position. This is it. So I'm going to hit submit. It's going to pull that game from the chess.com API, automatically pull it back, and we do a live reload feature. So you don't have to actually refresh the page. It will just pop up on everyone's page right away.
Oh, look, I lost.
Yeah,
I see it on my I see it on my side too. I didn't have to do anything.
Correct. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give some props to our UI people, and especially Anthony, our UI UX person on the front end, who built this awesome, beautiful feature. So here on LeagueSpot, you can actually go and click through the entire match as it happened. And y'all that were watching, you can see this is what happened. And my favorite, there's even a 3D feature. So if you're somebody who you prefer to sort of look at like an over the board perspective, like you were playing in real life, as opposed to the online one, you can then click through and see what happened in this match. I'm really excited about this. Yeah. Other than the fact that I won.
Yeah. Now, Andrew, let's take this off stream here for just a second, because I know too that a lot of people who we've got a lot of our clients potentially, and other people as well too, that running a Chesscom tournament, they may be worried about some challenges along the way. And let's think before LeagueSpot. What were some of the challenges that you saw before LeagueSpot? Before we started doing these, and what problems did we solve for people?
Yeah, so what I will do, and I'm a huge proponent of the chess.com platform, and I want to get that out early because I'm a diamond member. I pay for it myself. I spend quite a bit of time per day playing on chess.com. When you run events on chess.com, as a community owner, it's really conducive to running like a live day of tournament. And so what they'll do is basically you can get, let's say, 20 to 30 people into a pool during a time period, let's say from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock tonight. And what you can do is basically the algorithm will pull everybody in live and live match them against each other. And as soon as you have, let's say I beat you, then the two of us would get new opponents live as it's going. It's really nice. It's really fantastic. But the problem is that if you are somebody like me, you would want to, instead of maybe running an event that way, what if I want to run a 4 to 6 week event where a scholastic group gets to play each other once per Wednesday, and you want to manage everything in a safe and secure manner, along with everything else that you're doing in your sort of esports activation, you're going to use LeagueSpot, right? LeagueSpot has a ton of community management tools that's just what we built the platform for, right? And we've been doing it for years. And so what we wanted to say is we said, listen, we're going to go work with the best chess platform because we don't want to redo chess. That would be crazy. Let's go work with the best chess platform, implement that technology here. And then all the actual community management stuff that you need to run big ongoing communities, again, just like NACEs with their 2,000 students that are playing every single week. You would come to LeagueSpot and you would do that. So that was why we built this. In managing a community and things like we've built tools like allowing people to join a season late because they weren't signed up in time, right? We built tools like automatic forfeits where after 15 minutes, if a team hasn't shown up, instead of an administrator having to come in and actually press a button, our system just does it, right? So like when we talk about the big scaling and the safe and secure tools, especially for kids that are under 13, that's what you would use LeagueSpot, and that's sort of how we've pulled it all together for these big events.
One of the features I also love about the forfeit feature, people seem to think that forfeits are final. As an administrator, you can unforfeit because, again, with things in life, so long as you're not running a Swiss style and you're months down the road, things happen in life, and sometimes we need to say, hey, let's give them, or we could change that forfeit time to 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it may be. That's one of the nice things that I like too about LeagueSpot is that it's up to you, the administrator, to decide how flexible do you want to be. Some groups may be very strict on time, and some have a little bit more leeway, again, because of the clientele in which they're serving.
And by the way, one final thing too is that you can use LeagueSpot to run an in-person chess tournament. So we've built a few features that allow you to do basically to manage like an in-person event with different stations to go to. That is something you would use LeagueSpot for. And so again, if I was, I actually
can we show that really quickly? Because honestly, that was our next question. How can you use LeagueSpot to facilitate community engagement during a tournament? Remote is great. But let's say it isn't even chess.com. Let's say we were running a full just chess tournament, like on site in real life. That's a potential possibility too. Can you show us really quickly here how you can facilitate or what an in-person use of LeagueSpot might be?
Yes, let me take a look. I don't think I have myself set up for this. So I can give it a try here.
I believe it's when you're creating the stage, the very last choice that you have is remote or on site. So
Yeah,
I
let me.
believe I didn't mean to throw that curveball at
No,
you,
you're
but
you're good. This is actually a good one. Um, Perfect. So I can. Yeah, if you want to go back to the screen share here. So what I've done is I've gone into my league settings and I've said the standard is remote, where you're going to be playing remote with friends, things like that. Here, what I did is I'm actually setting up my my University Club of Chicago location, and with that, there are 4 different spaces that you can play. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what I can do is when I start my playoffs here, and I create our matchups. Now you can see what I can do is I can say, hey, these 2 players, sorry about that. These 2 players are going to play at station 1. These 2 players are going to play at station 2. Right. And so we could do this with all the matches where you actually give them a place to go. And through that, they can actually go and say, okay, we're at this chessboard, you're at this chessboard, you're at this chessboard. And it just helps you manage the entire thing. These are, by the way, completely nameable. So if I were to go back into the settings, I could say instead of station 1, 2, 3, and 4, I could say alpha, beta, right? Whatever you want to call it, it would allow those players to check in, understand where they're supposed to go, even at really, really large scale events. And we do that, right? We actually run these events, and it allows you to take people who are in your community and have them come into a physical location and participate in an event just like this. So it's really nice, and I've used it many, many times for this in real life.
and I know too that there are some people who are going to be watching the stream who again are already clients of ours who have asked me in the past about, hey, how do we set up stations so that kids know where to go? This is just a great feature that I wanted to make sure that we highlighted for people because not all of this has to be remote. As we're working even with YMCA's, Boys and Girls Clubs, things of that nature, I've advocated for them using this for like basketball tournaments and telling them which court do they go to and reporting of scores there.
Exactly.
Now, Andrew, the final question we have for today is, so what kind of support is available from LeagueSpot in case of issues or complications during a tournament? Talk a little bit about our support team that we have on the back end to help people out.
Well, I will say, to do a little bit of a plug, I think when you ask people things like why do they work with LeagueSpot, the support team is going to come up often in the response times, right? And so for these critical issues that come up, things like, hey, I lost some data, I made a mistake, hey, I did something that was sort of irreparable, can you help me back out of it? You can reach out, and primarily we have a Discord server that you can reach out, create a ticket, and you get 99% of the time you get it within a 10-minute response time. This happens because, again, if you are a teacher and you run into these complicated issues, and I think one of the things I've always talked about is that LeagueSpot's very battle tested. We built this platform and we kind of managed our backlog over the next couple of years, working with these really, really, really big collegiate and education and sort of brand engagements where things don't happen on the happy path or the way that you sort of like plan for it, right? Yeah. You have teams that will show up a week late, and those directors will say, hey, sorry, I forgot to register, my teams really want to play, can we still play? Right. And so in our especially our large like Automatcher and Swiss seasons, you can actually register a team late and it will slot them in, give them a 0-1 record, or really however many weeks late that they are, and it will give them losses for, but it will allow them to play, which is really nice. And so these are the types of things that we've built over time where it's actually battle tested. It's gone through real life scenarios of very large and big engagements, but at the same time, we haven't caught everything. Right, there are new and unique situations that come through, and we'll get a support ticket, and our dev team will sit back and say, "Wow, how could we have ever planned for that? Like this is such a unique thing; it's never happened before." And we have people on through the morning and through the night that are able to help with those things, and they have a lot of access, and they're able to help with those things. So I would say, if you want to give it a try and you want to work with LeagueSpot, we're kind of here with you the whole time. You're not going to be left out. There were competitive platforms that I had heard from where, they were told at nighttime during their competition times that, sorry, our people work from 9 to 5. And so we can't help you until tomorrow. Right. And it's just, that's not what we do at LeagueSpot. Right. We are there with you through your entire day. And we know that people who run Scholastic competition, they run it in the evening. It's just a
Yeah.
natural part of the business and where we are. And so we have people to cover that. So we're here for you is the short answer.
Yeah, even when we go on vacation, we don't actually go on vacation. And those of you who are educators, you know what that is like. As somebody who served as a tech director, as the solo tech support person for a school district, you don't really get a vacation sometimes. Sometimes you just have to, emails have got to keep going and the website's got to still be up and running. So I think there's going to be a lot of people, especially teachers and educators, who are going to appreciate that. Yeah, these problems can come up at all times of day. Our schedules are not the natural, normal schedules usually. So I think that's a great thing for us to focus on here as we start to wrap up. So final thoughts, Andrew, anything that as far as, giving people the final pitch, if you will, about LeagueSpot?
Well, I won't make it about LeagueSpot. I'll make it about chess.
Okay.
Play chess. Get it involved in your scholastic, your friends' communities. If you work with youth, it doesn't really matter. Play chess. Chess, and the act of learning and memorizing and learn. I actually got a coach for a period of time, and watching the results happen. It's like going to the gym for a while. It's like you do it long enough, and you get those results, and that personal purpose that you get, and that feeling of improvement is I would say one of the most positive things I've experienced in life. It just is what it is. It's a great game. It teaches you a lot of things around tactics, strategy. It sounds silly to say, but there's things that you can learn in business, right? There's things that you can learn in life. One of the big things they tell you in chess is that if you ever make a move, before you make the move, you should consider what your opponent's next response is. Right. And if that next response is going to make it so that your move was a bad one, you shouldn't make the move. And it's silly, but we talk about it all the time. Right. If you're negotiating, if you're doing things in business and life, you have to ask yourself, what's the most logical response that I'm going to get for that person? And do I have an answer for it? Right. James and myself, we sell all the time. Sales is such a big part of our job, and we're always selling. In those skills that you learn are just so important. And I think that learning from a young age is one of the best things that you could do for kids. So I would say, I think we've done enough to sell LeagueSpot. I think that, I would put the tiny plug in and say that, again, if you're working with kids especially, and you need something that's safe, secure, and you want to bring it to scale, we are the logical choice for that. But yeah, I would say in general, no matter what you do, and if you're doing it purely through chess.com, if you do it through LeagueSpot, if you do it through a competitor or a third party, just do chess. Chess is awesome. It's really, really great for communities. If you're an adult, it's a great way to stay in touch with your friends, whether you're playing remotely or whether you're playing in person. And it as much as I love video games, doing something that's sort of real and in front of you is just nice sometimes too. So yeah, that's my plug.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew Barnett, CEO of LeagueSpot. It's been a pleasure. Again, if people want to find out more information, we will have this video posted up to LinkedIn here later this afternoon. We will also be pulling out pieces and parts of it along the way, but feel free to reach out through leaguespot.gg. That's where you can go and find out, say, hey, I want to learn more about LeagueSpot. Or if you are a current client, reach out to us. If you're interested in running a chess.com tournament, we are happy to help you get started on your journey with chess. Andrew Barnett, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to be a part of the Spot Talk. And we look forward to seeing you again next month.
Thank you all.